believe you're probably right now, like I am, since we just got started. I've learned that I have my screen over here, and I've got a dual screen going on today, where I'm able to see what you all are actually seeing. So hopefully, the video you were just able to skip by it, and it wasn't one of the annoying ones. Let me see who all's made it here. Who's in the comment section right now? I see Dara has already joined us. Hey, Dara, always a pleasure. Let's see who else we've got. And where are you from? Hey there, Lisa. Give everybody a few moments to join us here. While I try to get these screens right for me. Trying to make it so I can see other screen, which I surprisingly can only do polls and things like that on this screen over here. Fantastic. Oh, Southwest Florida, not that far away, Lisa. Hey, Saul. Michael, hello as always. And Kevin, good afternoon. I am glad you enjoy the live videos. It's something I actually enjoy the live videos too. I was thinking about, my schedule over the last month. So I've been in North Carolina. You may have, if you follow me on Instagram, it's The Weekend Cruiser. No shocker there. I posted some pictures of my vacation to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So the very southern part of the Outer Banks, Morehead City, Atlantic Beach is where I was for a week and a half. Had a wonderful time out there with the family. And then went up to New York for 3 weeks. So I have come back tired, if you will. So yeah, I've been gone for, I think, over 4.5 weeks from my house. And that is the longest that I have been gone in one single trip. So I am glad to be back home. I have been pretty tired the last couple of days. I got home late Friday night. Fun story, though. You all know that air travel these days has been hideous, horrible, cancellations everywhere. And I was very fortunate when I was flying. They said, hey, we want to volunteer for a $600 voucher. And I'm going, $600? That's like a weekend cruise and a half. And so I immediately volunteered. I raised my hand and yelled, I want to be tribute, and ran over there. And I was selected to get the $600 voucher. And the best part was it was only a 3-hour delay. It was not bad at all. So I just went back to the lounge, had some food, got online a little bit. I think I answered a few comments while I was sitting there, and just enjoyed and got my $600 voucher up and running, which was super exciting for me. I think that was the highlight of my trip, was coming back and getting a $600 airline voucher. So I have more money on cruises. I've been looking at a lot of stuff and the prices for next year, and those prices are high. The prices, especially for Royal Caribbean, I'm torn on, what cruise lines I should be going with these days, because I look at the Royal pricing, which I love, and it is high for next year still. So I'm booking some of those. With the Allure of the Seas coming into Port of Miami to start doing weekends, I actually find that it's a pretty good deal. So I can get a Central Park balcony these days with the Diamond Plus 340 points, 150% single supplement for like $550, which isn't horrible for a balcony stay room. It's not ocean view. If you were trying to get that on Freedom right now, you'd be looking at 900 plus, but not a bad price for next year. So I might start booking out some of those as things go on, and because I think the long game, I've talked about the short game and the long game. I think the long game is the way to go right now, because if you look at the short prices, this summer has been really, really high, and a lot of cruises, especially the weekends, close out like 2 or 3 weeks before it even gets to that sailing. It's completely at capacity. So if you're looking at booking cruises, again, not a travel agent. Hopefully you all have enjoyed my travel agent videos. Call a travel agent and tell them you want to book some cruises, because you want to do the long game on that and get their professional advice as well. Let's see who else has joined us. Got Lisa Ann. Already gone through a few of these. Hello, Jazz from Tampa. Sarah, thank you for joining. Group cruise members, I love seeing group cruise members because I actually know who you are. I have seen you in person. We have had in-person conversations. It's great. Not that I don't love all of you, but there's something that switches in my mind somehow or another from, a screen name and having a relationship here versus seeing somebody in person and now having, the mental connection of who you actually are as a person. And I love that So Sarah, thank you for coming on in. Pamela Hunt, Pennsylvania. Oh, you got a little bit of a flight to go there to come down. Or I guess you probably could drive over to maybe Baltimore. Might not be too bad for you, Pam. Houston, Texas, Saul, back from Mexico on the allure. How is Mexico these days? I'm thinking the heat here in, being in New York and what I heard the temperatures were here in Miami, I think that they've been all over the place. I'd be curious to see how Mexican temperatures are. I don't actively watch it. You would think that, I probably would have a lot of port of calls in my weather app where I could just see where the weather is and all the major ports of call. But honestly, I don't really check the weather too much. I live in South Florida, so I'm going to have high temperatures, high humidity, chance of afternoon thunderstorms. That's about what I'm going to get here. So I really don't check it too terribly often, which is a problem when I do wind up traveling somewhere because I forget that, other places in the world have chillier temperatures and I will forget to take a jacket in a heartbeat. Not always the smartest move that I've taken. You may have seen my South American video, right? Middle of the summer down there, thought it was going to be warm. It was not very warm. So I'm glad that I probably need to start watching the weather a little bit more. Lisa, what a great day to start binge watching videos. I'm thinking, I've been watching a lot more over this weekend as well because I wanted to have just one where I stay at home, I relax. So I am with you on that. Diane, welcome as well. And Michael, yes, the $600 airline voucher all day, every day. I will gladly do that. I probably would have done it for less, but $600 for 3 hours? Absolutely. I mean, I was even ready to take a hotel on them, but did not. And Diane, thank you for always calling this out. If you would, press that like button down below. It does go a long ways for content creators like myself who come on here and chat with you all. It is an easy way to show support and hopefully lets the algorithm know that you're enjoying the videos. And it'll push it to some more people. Or it'll find, I think some people phrase it more as, it finds a better audience for it. The more people that like it, it's able to identify who is the right audience that the Weekend Cruiser should be pushed to. So Sal, let's talk about the President's Cruise, why I was not there. And a lot of people, I think, wanted me on the President's Cruise. I have never been tempted to go on the President's Cruise. It's just not something that I have this curiosity or interest to do. The first reason why I don't is, they're choosing my sailing and they're normally 7 nights and longer. And I don't necessarily always like the ones that they're going on. They've actually, interestingly, I don't know if they've done a President's Cruise out of South Florida yet. They've been Alaska. I think the last one was Galveston. They've actually not, to my knowledge, and don't hold me to this, haven't done one in South Florida. So it's not convenient. It's going to ports that I didn't necessarily choose. It's on a big ship, which I'm not a huge fan of. And it is a lot of pomp and circumstance. I'm just not into that kind of experience. It's also, and I hate saying this, it is a ton of people who cruise a lot. There's probably, from what I hear, and I haven't been on it, a strong entitlement mentality on it. Everybody trying to show each other up. And I'm just not into that game. Like that doesn't fit well with me. And I don't know that I would have a great time with that concentration of frequent floaters or frequent cruisers out there. So I have chosen to kind of stay away from the President's Cruise. I may wind up doing it one of these days. If the President's Cruise wants to do a weekend, I would be all over that. I would be there in a heartbeat because it is just 3 nights. I can figure it out. But so far, they have not done the weekend cruise just yet. So I wish you could come on the group cruise as well. So for those of you that are here, if you are in the live stream, I take it you are a fan of the Weekend Cruiser. First of all, thank you. But if you may be also interested in meeting up in person, as I said, I love meeting you all in person, getting to know you face to face. There is a group cruise coming up. November 3rd is when that's going to be. And it is on the Allure of the Seas, the inaugural sailing of Allure of the Seas weekend sailing. So we're going to go there. We're going to christen her the largest cruise ship to ever do weekend sailings. And we're going to have an excellent time. I'm putting in the comments, if you are interested in this, there are cabins still left. I haven't seen the prices of those recently, but go into the JotForm that I just sent out. And it's some quick questions on what's your name, email, and the travel agent that is helping us with this group cruise, Ron, will give you a call or an email to go over what your pricing options are. He did have some really good refundable deposits. I don't know if those are still available or not, but go in there, link it down, and see if it's something you want to join us for. It's out of Port Canaveral, so I'm changing it up to hopefully be able to meet more of you that are closer to Port Canaveral and can get there easier. Plantation, Kristen, I was actually just in your neck of the woods last night. I'd gone to Tamarack. So the royal family that you hear me talk about often on here went over to Tamarack to some friends of ours' houses. And so there's about 10 frequent cruisers of the weekend cruise, that is, that all went to dinner last night. Had a wonderful time with friends. A lot of us have been off the ships recently. You just heard I've been off for about a month now and haven't had a chance to see all these great folks. And we were all kind of, on land for one weekend. And so we got together and had a wonderful time. So not too far away from you at all, right down the street at least. Jazz, you have a really good memory. I haven't been on the Brilliance in a while. I was there last year. I think I went out of Tampa and I took one of the very early car rides over there because I wanted to get there so that I'd have time to work remotely from like a coffee shop. I think I left my house at like 5:30 to get there, but fantastic memory. And Jeff, we've been chatting about MSC and it looks like you have signed up as well. I have a bunch. I think I looked at my MSC sailings today and I've got like 11 of them coming up on the Magnifica. And so I might go through a spreadsheet today on kind of how I'm looking at different numbers and, walk you all through what I'm thinking of when I'm booking a cruise. There's lots of factors that go into it, more than I would care to admit from time to time, but we'll go into a little bit of that. Hey there, Beth from Houston. Bayonne's not that bad. I actually, Beth, got out of Bayonne for a 4-night weekend sailing, a Thursday to Monday morning one time. The Anthem of the Seas did a random 4-night. I think it's the only 4-night that Bayonne's ever had. We went to Bermuda, literally stayed for 6 hours, turned around and came back. So I got as much of a tour of Bermuda as one can, but that was probably the quickest cruise or quickest period of time on land that I've ever had. Ted, always good to see you. Thank you. And Salmon, thank you as well too. Or Salmon, you have to let me know. You all know my pronunciation's almost a joke at this point. I get words wrong in the videos all the time. So thank you all for your patience. So let me switch over from the comments for a little bit. I'll come back to those in a second. I try to get to all of them, but again, press that like button if you're just joining us. But wanted to chat through a few things today. And the first one is fees and port taxes, something that you all probably have gotten an email about or seen in the news. There's a lot of increases that are going on. So the first one I want to talk about is the Bahamian government is increasing the cruise passenger fare to come into their ports of call. So this is something that, the Bahamas actually wanted to start enforcing probably 6 months ago, I think is when they did it, but they delayed that start because they didn't want the cruise line, push back on them clearly because it raises our fees to get there. And so they delayed it by 6 months, but now they're actually going through with it. And, they're going to be charging us additional amounts of money to go to the Bahamas. So the way that the breakdown today works, because I know when we see port fees and taxes, I don't necessarily know where all that money goes. And it is always a different amount. You all know I book the same cruise a lot, right? I don't think I've ever paid the same amount in port fees and taxes. It is always a different number. So a little bit of that we can talk about today because they've come out and said, here's what the Bahamian government is charging. So if you're going to Freeport, Bimini, or Nassau, you're going to go from $18 a day, that's what they were charging, up to $23 now per guest that is going to be going there. So if you're a family of 4, a little bit of an increase that you're going to pay. If you're also going over to a private island, so this can be Half Moon Cay, Ocean Cay, Coco Cay, all of these are going to go from $25 is where it's going to. So it's going to be even more to go to the private island. And I think that this is a little bit of a trade-off of, and I can't wait to get back to Nassau because I want to do a walking tour of the new port that's opened up. I haven't actually seen it yet. I tried working with the chairman at the port there to get a behind the scenes kind of tour, but since it was a construction zone, they weren't quite game for that. But, I'll be back there middle of August, I think is the next time I'm back there. And I will certainly get a walking tour of the new port. But since they put all this money into the port area in Nassau, I think that this is the next logical thing is they're going to increase fees. They've now put some revenue, some money into building up the port at Nassau. And now they want to start recouping some of that. And it is really my hope that a lot of this money, because if they go from $18 to $23 in Nassau, I think they said it's 145 million or something that they can expect to see just on the increase, because they get, 10,000 people every single weekend for the most part, every single day they can get it. So I'm hoping that these funds go back to the people of the Bahamas and building out the Port of Nassau a little bit more. I know that there's been some strong voices, including myself, on the Bahamian government really stepping up and making it more of a true tourist destination where there's a lot more for us to do. I love Nassau. I think there's some really, really great things to do there, but you got to look around and you got to find it. And it took me probably 20 trips to the Bahamas before I actually started liking Nassau, because I couldn't figure out what it was that I wanted to do based on my mood. So I don't do the same thing every time I go there. I think there's some people that'll say, oh, I just go to this beach club every time I'm in this port. I really sometimes feel like a beach club. Sometimes I want a nice restaurant. Sometimes I want to walk around. It really just depends on what I want to do. But the key here is hopefully that money makes it back. I also think that, this might be a sign that they're more on point with Royal Caribbean building its, I don't know if it's considered a private island at that point, but private resort area, day pass that you can get just on the other side of the cruise ships. And I still don't think that that's a great idea on Royal Caribbean's part. It's a great revenue driver for them, but I really wish the Bahamian government would take more ownership of that process and not limit it just to Royal Caribbean. My personal thoughts on all of that. The other place where we're seeing increases, remember to get my water before I started talking today, is on the Celebrity Cruise Line. So they are playing the gratuity game once again. So gratuities are going up. And if you remember, Celebrity just raised their gratuities last year by $2. And apparently that wasn't enough. I kind of wish they would have just ripped the Band-Aid off back then, but now they're doing another increase. And so if you're staying in, I'll say the traditional style cabins, if you're staying in an inside ocean view, normal balcony, you're going to go from $17.50 per day to $18 per day, which is not a huge increase. It's only about 50 cents. And then you're going to be going into the concierge and aqua class, which is going from $18 to $18.50. Again, a 50% increase. The people that are taking the biggest hit, those with money, those sailing in the suite class, are going from $21 up to $23. So instead of just an additional 50 cents for them, they're going up a full $2 per day per guest. So again, this is going to add up. And with all this, increase in fees, the nickel and diming mentality is alive and well on cruise ships these days. And I keep asking myself, where does this end? Where do we eventually start saying, let's just make it all inclusive? If you go to other countries, if you will, this is illegal to have all these different fees. So we do it sheerly for a marketing ploy. So the cruise lines want to show you that, hey, the price for your cruise is $600. Then you go to check out, and all of a sudden you're looking at $800 and $900 per person. And so it's a marketing and psychological strategy to say that, oh, it's only $600. And then when you see the extra $200, $300 per person, you go, well, I'm already doing $600. What's another $200? And so this is a strategy they use just to be able to charge us more. The other side to that is, and I've gotten a lot of comments on my travel agent video on how travel agents are paid. What does commission look like for travel agents? One thing this also does is by having gratuities broken out and having the port fees and taxes broken out, they don't have to pay travel agents a commission on those dollars. So I think that that's probably another strategy that they're doing is to, they're not really helping their third-party providers who are booking their cruises, marketing them. Just my personal thoughts on this, they may be shortchanging them a wee little bit. So what are you all's thoughts on fees? Is there ever a chance in this world that we will get to a place where all cruise lines, and I'd even say anything on land, I would love it if tipping and gratuities could just go away. And what we pay is what we pay. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments or the chat section. Diane, you're going in a loft suite. So this is the only room I have ever stayed in, the Crown Loft Suite, that I could literally live in. I actually looked when I was looking to move to Miami. I was like, maybe I can find a loft in Miami that looks like the Crown Loft Suite. The design of it is fantastic. I am a huge fan of that. Beth, you also like the Allure. Kevin, the group cruise is very much so still a go on November 3rd. So I put the link in. Make sure that you're looking at that. But absolutely, we're going. I would love to see many of you there. Oh, Susan, so you're enjoying the later time that I'm doing. 6 o'clock's a little late for me. Normally, I like to do these earlier, but this works out really good for California. So Sal, great information on the President's Cruise. I had not noticed this, but over 2,000 people are Diamond Plus and higher. 550 people are Pinnacle members. It's just not an environment that I personally want to be in. That's just me, I actually stole this phrase, frequent floater, from somebody else because I was trying to find a way to talk about people who like to cruise frequently, who go on cruises very often. And they threw out the term frequent floater. And I was like, I really like that. I thought about the flotation tanks where you do the sensory deprivation first. But then I was like, frequent floaters, I can get on board with that. That makes a lot of sense. Hey there, Chris, and love Coach Cruise. I did get invited on his channel to talk through, what did we talk about? Oh, my three favorite things that I always take with me on cruises. So great guy, high energy. His channel is always a good time to watch. Lisa Ann, check out, it's in the link or the comments down below the description, or excuse me, the JotForm. Fill that out and the travel agent will get up with you. It's the best way to do that and go over some of those options. Hopefully you can make it. So do I have a list of my future cruises? Not really. So pre-shutdown, pre-COVID, I was using Shipmates is what I was using. And by having, so we didn't sell on those. I had everything inputted. I just haven't gone back and deleted all the cruises I didn't go on, reestablished all the ones that I have. I don't have a good way to do that or to talk about the cruises that I go on. I'll talk through it on here. I mean, you know basically where to find me. We can cruise out of somewhere out of South Florida, mainly Miami. That's where you're going to have the best likelihood of finding me. Chris, I've never done Carnival before. And, I've looked at the prices a little bit, and they're just as expensive as Freedom is for me these days going out of Miami. So I just keep going back to what I personally know, but people that love Carnival love Carnival. Have I heard anything about a stabbing on NCL? I sure have not. I'm confident that would have absolutely have come through somewhere. But the kicker to this is I am confident that NCL is keeping this as hush as they can. When it comes to any kind of crime on the cruise ships, you all know that the information that we get on these is not very good. There's not a lot of data, not a lot of reporting. They're in international waters most of the time or in a different country. It's really tough for us to find out what happens, what criminal activity goes on a cruise ship. And this I have certainly not seen or heard about. I'm confident that if I would have seen that, I would have known about that one. That's something that would have easily have gotten my attention. Looks like it may have happened last year, Brian. Don't hold me to this or the comment here, but that could be what we're looking at. JC, Bayonne. When I went to Bayonne, it was a 4-day, so there was probably a lot of people driving in. But I just remember the traffic going down that long road, getting to the ship was really, really tough. I think it took me like 30 minutes to get from that road up to the actual ship. Hey, Nick, and thank you. Welcome. So Lisa, Celebrity does not offer all-inclusive. So they do have an all-included fare, which interestingly, I think, so when I made a video on this, on how it's really not all-inclusive. And people were correcting me saying that it's all-included, which, they only include these 3 things. Interestingly, they've actually gone through and changed that out to where it is all-inclusive. They've gone and changed it back to what I was originally calling it, but it still is limited to the things that they're including. It's not all included by any stretch, but it does say that, gratuities are built into it and a few other things. So they're trying. The higher end cruise lines are making more inroads here. Virgin Voyages does it for all of theirs. And then if you're already paying just a really good amount of money to be there, that's where you're going to see the all-inclusive. Pam, Mir, you are in the same exact boat in this one, wishing it would go away. Lisa Ann, I'll give him the heads up too that you have sent in the form and to get up with you. Hopefully you can make it. Oh, let's talk about Virgin Voyages a little bit. You're cruising with your sister. You're in your 50s. Adults only sound great, but the environment is super risque. I'm not a prude, but would want a nonstop, if that makes sense. Got it. It does make sense, actually. So I will say that Virgin Voyages is a sophisticated party crowd, if that makes any sense. So it's, you can go late night, but it's not uncommon to see people, enjoying their mimosas at brunch, at lunch, and having a really good time throughout the day. I don't think that Virgin strikes me, at least, as being raunchy or being out there. I think that they've pulled away from that a little bit. They used to have a show on there called Never Sleep Alone, which I think was probably the biggest offender of this and one of the main drivers of this. And that is now gone. That's not there anymore. And I think part of it was because they were getting a lot of a reputation around it being a risque show. And I saw the show and it wasn't terribly risque. She definitely a lot of topics that are not family friendly, I would say, but it was a little bit more risque. The other difference that you're going to see here is when it comes to, I say, gender identity. So if you are, going to see one of their shows, it's nothing to see their singers and dancers changing clothes. There are male dancers dressing as females or females being males and all working together. They've got a drag show that's on there that is always a really good time. Right now, they have the girl named Carlos, or no, a guy named Carlos, I think is what it's called, or what the entertainer is called. And so it's just things that people aren't accustomed to is now where it's a little bit more, not even risque, that's not the right word for it, but I just think that it's a different type of entertainment. It is not your traditional singers and dancers that you're going to find on Royal Caribbean, MSC, Norwegian. They intentionally thought out of the box. Everything that you do on Virgin Voyages is to create a different kind of experience. They came into an industry trying to disrupt it and intentionally doing it different. So just make sure you go on there. If you've been on other cruise lines with an expectation of, hey, this is going to be different, be open to a different experience, and you're going to have a really great time. I think that's the key to it, just making sure that mentality is always going to be there. Bobby, I'm not a Royal Air person. I try to spend not that much money, and it's just me going, whatever room I have is normally pretty good. So I've never done this much, but I have a lot of friends that have. The only time I did do this was a 7-night Baltic cruise where we left from Stockholm, went over to St. Petersburg, Russia, and back. I did do it here. I've got the solo cabin, and then I did the Royal Up. And so I got bumped from a solo interior to a ocean view balcony on a 7-night cruise for like $300, which was fantastic because I never had to pay the double supplement to start with. I was already supplement, just paying for me. And then for another $300, I got bumped up to the ocean view. That's where that was a huge win. I was very excited about that, but normally I don't ever bother with it. So Brian, I need to make a new video on this actually, because I haven't visited why weekend cruises are so different, but your travel agent is absolutely right on here. A weekend sailing. And we talked about this on the last live when Celebrity came out with, the notice that they're going to be doing weekend sailings. It is absolutely a booze cruise. It is a party destination. People are getting groups together, going with their friends, quick getaways, and there's a lot more drinking. There's a lot more partying. It is a higher energy crowd. So much so that I'm getting ready to go on a 7-night Explorer of the Sea sailing out of, or over to Greece, I should say. And I have to remind myself that this is going to be a totally different crowd. Number one, you're going to have a formal night. I actually have to bring proper clothes to go on a longer cruise. And the nightlife normally really fades after 10 o'clock because you got port the next day. When you go on a weekend sailing, you've got Nassau and a private island. If you wake up late, that is not the end of the world. You don't feel like you have to go from sun up to sundown. And even then at the private island where your drink package will still work, by the way, you're going to be getting your money's worth. And so people really take advantage of that. So if you're looking at doing a weekend cruise as your very first thing, because a lot of people go, you know what, I'm not sure that I'm going to like a cruise. Let me do a short weekend sailing, see how it goes, and maybe then I'll want to do a 7-day. I would encourage you not to do that, because a weekend sailing is absolutely not the same as a 7-night sailing. The culture, the differences, even a 3-night sailing to the midweek sailing. I've done several back-to-backs where you go from weekend to midweek, night and day difference. The cultural difference on the person that goes from Friday to Monday, your party cruise, versus a retiree crowd, I would say, from Monday to Friday, because that's, 4 days that you got to take off. Most people have to take off from work, and then you have the weekends on the other side of it. So it is a much different experience. So I think that, your travel agent is very right on that. I think that it's a wonderful time. I love the energy that the weekend cruises bring, but you got to know what you're getting yourself into. I think that that's key there. Have I ever done Odyssey? I have not done Odyssey. I had it booked after COVID, and I canceled it for some reason. I don't remember why. I've done Anthem. I did it as a 4-nighter, I said, and it was a great one. But I hear that Odyssey, what my friends tell me, is they like it much better than any other quantum ship. So JC, I would encourage you to go jump on it and check it out a little bit. I think, Kevin, you're spot on here. Get rid of it all and roll it in. It's neat that you're given the option to roll it in. The thing that I don't like with this, Diane, where some people are all included and some people are not, the staff there doesn't know the difference. They don't know at that point if I have tipped them or not tipped them. And that bothers me for some reason. I think if I go with, a group of friends and half of us have to tip and half of us don't, kind of look like we're the cheap ones there, not rewarding good service. So I'm not a fan of the half and half system. I think it needs to be one or the other. Otherwise, you're still going to have people that have their tips included, and they're still going to wind up tipping because they don't want to feel like they're not tipping people. I think that that's the dangerous side to all-inclusives. And luckily, I haven't seen this much on Virgin, but people still are tipping. And I don't understand that. And I know we want to reward good service, but if tips are included and you're tipping above and beyond what's tipping, at what point does the employer take ownership of how much that person is making? I think that those are their conversations. So I just think that it should be one or the other on this. And I would love for it to be all included. Excellent. I love all these people are getting interested in the group cruise. And I think part of this comes down to this one was planned really, really far in advance. I've known about this and we've had it on the books for 8 months now, probably. November 3rd, once again, Allure of the Seas, JotForm down in the comments if you're interested. And I think as we're getting closer, people are going, I want to go. I can actually book something now 3 months out, which I think is where we're at 8, 9, 10, 4 months out. I think more people's schedules, you know about what you're going to be doing versus too far out. You're like, I don't know, something better might come up. I mean, it's just the weekend cruiser. Let me see if something better comes along. And now that nothing has, yay me, you might be able to make it with us. I'm totally just joking with you there, Kevin. Totally joking. But it's, I think I even talked about this on a prior live is what is the right time? Actually, it may have been a poll, I think, on the Facebook group on what is the right time to announce a group cruise. Do you all want to know about it a year in advance? Do you want to plan one closer in like 3 months in advance? Let me know that in the comments as well. Because once November gets closer, I'm going to want to start planning another group cruise. So this is the primary one right now, but then I'm going to want to start looking at 2024 and see where we all can meet up and have us a good time. If you have booked Azamara, you are my hero, and I would love to be able to go with you. 10 nights on that ship sounds wonderful. They are an all-inclusive cruise line as well. I would love to go on them. I know they're not part of the RCL family anymore, Royal Caribbean Group, but I would love to go on one of their small little ships and check it out. Silver Seas doesn't have the same kind of ring for me. For whatever reason, I enjoy the concept of Azamara more than I do of Silver Seas, which is now the one that Royal Caribbean Group owns. So just go ahead and know you're going to have so when you do a back-to-back cruise here, Beth, one thing that I am horrible for is having deja vu moments. And so if you're there for the weekend, you're making friends, you're mixing, you're mingling, and then Monday comes and you get a whole new batch of 3,000 people on your ship. I'm walking around still looking for the people from the prior cruise. I'll see somebody's hairstyle that's the same, and I'm like, oh, it's Beth. And then I was like, oh, wait, she got off the ship yesterday. It's not Beth. And so there's definitely a deja vu. And there's going to be a little bit of a culture shock going from the weekend party crowd to more of a laid back midweek sailing, but you're going to love it. Yeah, the gratuities do include back of the house. They include people that we've probably never even heard of. And so I think that's one reason why I don't like the system is when I think of gratuity, I'm rewarding people that I have engaged with and worked with. Granted, take the waiter, for instance. The waiter's only giving me fantastic service if he's getting great support from the head waiter, from the maitre d', from the kitchen staff, from the sommelier. I mean, all those people have to come together so that that waiter does a really good job. So I understand it, but it's still kind of counterintuitive to me on that one. I have done balcony guarantees in the past if the price is right. So balcony guarantees, what that means, and you can have a guarantee in an interior, ocean view. There's even a suite guarantee, believe it or not, that starts, I believe, at junior suite and goes up. And they're just going to assign you to whatever room is left over in that category. If that category fully sells out, they'll bump you up to the next one. But I don't think that I've ever heard of that ever happening where you booked a interior guarantee and you got an ocean view. I'm sure that it hasn't ever happened to me. But if the price saves me a significant amount of money, I will choose that. I don't necessarily care where on the ship I am, as long as I'm on that ship. The downside that you got to be careful with, especially on the balcony one here on bigger ships, is more than likely you're going to wind up getting an obstructed view balcony. So yes, you're going to get a balcony, but you're going to get the obstructed view balcony more than likely. So just know that, you know, this one might swing either way for you, JC. So if you can save the money, I say do it and go on another cruise with the savings, but you might just get a different kind of room at the end of the day. Have I noticed that the Royal is lowering the water pressure? I have not noticed this. What I have noticed, though, is they're changing out the shower nozzles. And what I think that they're doing is they're just putting in more water restrictive nozzles that don't put out as much water. The pressure has stayed good to me, but it's definitely not as much water hitting you as it was. The last, was it MSC sailing that I was on? I think it was MSC. The hose that sprays you was actually a air water hose. So it doesn't only spray water at you, it also mixes in air so that it uses even less water. I don't think it's a horrible thing. You know, I love my water pressure, but at the end of the day, if we're cruising on the waters, like we probably need to take, you know, more responsibility with some of our water, food waste, all that great stuff. So if there's a way that they can do that and we still have a good experience, I think that's the key. I'm game for that. Let's see. Let's go back to some of the talking points over here that I've got, and then we'll come back to the comments. Again, if you've not hit that like button, go ahead and do that for me. Again, it does a huge favor. So Virgin Voyages, one thing that I want to chat through. I like watching Virgin Voyages because, as I mentioned before, they just do things differently. And one thing that I wish that I would have seen, but I was asleep for this. Actually, I wasn't even home for this because it happened end of last week. They had a little bit of a fender bender. They were coming into the port here in and accidentally hit one of the dolphin moorings that smashed up the back part of the ship. So when you're looking at the back part of the ship, and I should have got a picture of this, it rounds up and then goes into the hull, and it hit above the water line, luckily. So the ship did not take on any water, was never in danger of any kind. Just, you know, it was a fender bender. It banged it up pretty good on the side, smashed in that corner. The good news is, you know, didn't take long. They still were able to dock, got everybody off the ship at the right time, and then they got it repaired. They repaired it in the same day, and she wound up sailing about 12:30 that night. And I personally have had, you know, cruises delayed even longer that never had a fender bender. Maybe there was a medical emergency, something went on, but I was really impressed that they were able to get people over there, get it fixed, and get it ready to go again so it could continue on its cruise. And I don't think anybody missed anything. So I'm really excited. I didn't know that they could fix things that terribly quick. So again, minor damage, fender bender in the cruise world, but I still go, did anybody get fired for that? And if so, who would have gotten fired for that fender bender? I know I've always heard stories, especially on Royal Caribbean, you crash your ship or you hit something, you're out the door. In this case, the pilot would have been driving the boat. Granted, the captain's still standing right beside of him, Who takes the responsibility for this? Is it the captain of the ship, or is it the pilot that got on the ship to guide it into the port? I don't know the answer to this, and I'd be curious if it's the pilot. Doubtful on this. Would the pilot have to pay for the damages, or whoever the pilot reports into? At least get a discount for bringing the pilot on board, because I understand they're quite expensive. But just questions I have on how all this plays out. So Virgin Voyages, another way that they're trying to do things different here is if you're looking at going in August and September of next year, it's not this year, next year, I believe, they are doing a food and wine tour. So this is something that's unique. And I got to thinking about it. I don't think any other cruise line has ever tried to have like a special week or a special month. They'll have charters. They'll have like the President's Cruise, but they've never done like a food and wine festival. And so I think about Epcot, where they do wines around the world, and people go there specifically for that event. And if you've been on Virgin Voyages, you know that their food is fantastic. It is an experience. And quite frankly, I personally think that it is better than the specialty restaurants on Royal Caribbean. Their normal food, if you will. My mom would disagree with me on this. Mom thinks that she likes the Royal Caribbean food much better. But for those foodie people that are out there that love an experience, love trying something new, you throw truffle oil on everything. Virgin Voyages is going to start having a wine and food expo for August and September. And so they're going to have, I think they're going to be bringing on celebrity chefs. They're going to be trying new things out, different events. Some of them, of course, are going to be an upcharge. I think Virgin's done a really good job of saying, hey, we're going to do intimate 15 people event that you have to pay just a little bit of money for to get a different experience, which I think is pretty neat. That's not a bad thing. But I think that it's really going to draw in that foodie crowd that already loves Virgin Voyages and how good the food is. The food there is still trying to create an experience. So from their entertainment that we talked about earlier, now their food is also trying to give your taste buds an experience you've never had before. And so with that, this food and wine festival that they're going to have on board for 2 months, I think will be really neat. And I'll be curious to see how it drives passengers to their cruise ship. I also, if you are interested in doing the food and beverage tour, there's a link down in the description where you can check out some of the prices for what Virgin Voyages has. That is, something, and we're amongst friends here, right? I'll talk to you all about this. I've gone back and forth whether or not to include this link. So you all know that I'm a huge fan of travel agents. I love travel agents. I think that everybody should be booking through a travel agent, unless you're just somebody who's OCD and you just have to do everything yourself. I understand that. And I think the link down at the bottom is for those people. It is an affiliate link. So Virgin Voyages is the first that I know of, at least, that has now started an affiliate link if you book direct. And I think it's because Virgin focuses more on, influencers not in the cruise line industry. They, feature people who are just really heavy hitters, not, people like me, but people with millions of followers. And I think this is a way to encourage them to talk more about Virgin Voyages. And I figure, if you're going to book alone, if you want to go out on your own, which I don't recommend, use the link down in the bottom. It is an affiliate link from Virgin. I went back and forth on whether I wanted to do this because I really do value travel agents, but I recognize some people want to book direct. And if that's you for Virgin Voyages, use the link down in the comments where you can check the prices, and that'll automatically, I'm not even sure what the payout is for it, but I will get a little something, if you will, just to say thank you from Virgin Voyages and talking about their product. I'm actually going to be going back on Virgin Voyages in September. So I have been doing 5-night sailings. I'm going to do a 4-night to Key West. They're very quick cruise. My birthday cruise, actually. So I'm super excited about that. So I can't wait to go on that. I've been trying to go on it this weekend. So I left an extra day in there, a weekend in there, to see how I'd feel when I came back. And Virgin has a solo cabin left for this weekend. Well, I say this weekend. It actually leaves on Wednesday afternoon, the 26th. And it's a solo. I think that there's not that many of them. They are not dropping the price on it. I'm really disappointed because it's coming in at $14.75. It has been for the last week and a half to 2 weeks. And they're not dropping the price. I'm like, Virgin, come on. Like, the ship sells on Wednesday. Clearly nobody's taking the ship. Like, you should really give it to me at a very deep discount. And they're not doing it. I wake up every morning and check the price. I go to bed and I check the price. It is always $14.75 for a solo, which is actually only about $400 cheaper than what I could get an ocean view for. And for a 4-night, it's a little out of my budget right now. I'm trying to keep my cruises between $500 and $1,000 a pop if it's a short weekend cruise. That is very doable on other cruise lines. Virgin is the one that, because of their experience, because I like them so much, I will pay that money, but I've got to watch myself. You all know I'll book a cruise in a heartbeat. I've got to watch myself on Virgin and be like, Brandon, that's going to blow your budget for this month. You got to pull back some. So I'm going to keep watching it until they finally yank it from their sales list. But hopefully I'll make it on there, but it's not looking too good right now. I don't think they're going to be lowering the price for me. Let's take a look back at comments and come over here. Lisa Ann, great to hear more notice. I think that that's always a good thing too. I've got to find a better way of publicizing and marketing. I don't really know how to get word out there. I come on here and talk. I don't necessarily want to talk about it in every single video that I make, because eventually the group cruises can come and go, and that video is going to live on. People are still going to be watching it and go, oh, there's a group cruise on November 3rd. They're like, oh, wait, that was last year. So I got to figure out how I want to start marketing these, or better market these. We've got the Facebook group. That's where I should do more of it. I think that that's probably the best place. But I've kind of been a slacker in that. I need to take more ownership of that channel. Yeah, JC, if you're worried about having that poorly obstructed balcony view that we talked about, you probably just want to go ahead and just book a non-obstructed balcony and see what they have to offer. Lisa, hopefully you're going to love Virgin Voyages. I know they are quickly becoming one of my favorites because their entertainment is so different and their food is so different. And when you cruise a lot, it's good just to have a different experience sometimes. I'm a big fan. Oh, the lack of indoor family dining. The Anthem has a very weird indoor dining pool spot, I should say. It is, I would call it a cold weather ship. It is meant more for Alaska and cooler places, such as Bayonne. So you can stay inside for 2 days, but it does get a little bit tight. They do have some good offers. The thing when you go to Virgin, and you know, I give them a hard time on them being more expensive, but again, look at the value that Virgin is going to be offering. And so it's going to come with all of your gratuities, basic internet. You're probably going to wind up getting a bar tab, so they don't have a drink package there. Something that I don't think has slowed most of the people on Virgin Voyages down whatsoever. They seem to still be able to drink up a storm, but you'll get $300 to use towards your bar tab. And if you buy another $300, I think they give you like $50 on top of that. So they're always giving these kind of freebies and incentives to go on the cruise. So even though you are paying more, there's a lot of value that comes with it. So make sure you know what's going to be coming with that. Even in the Mediterranean, I don't know if this benefit is still going or not. They were giving out up to $1,200 per person to fly yourself over to Europe to get on the Resilient Lady or the Brilliant Lady to do a Mediterranean cruise. Something that I looked at, but I was out of vacation time, unfortunately. But that sounded like a great deal to me, is, you know, get a free flight over to Europe, because that's going to cost you a good bit of money these days. Flights to Europe, ridiculous. So we're flying out the beginning of September to get on the Explorer of the Seas for Labor Day. And so it's me, my mom, and my niece are going to be going all together. First time mom and the niece have really been over to Europe, out of the country. They've done the Caribbean before, but first time they're going out of the country. And flights from Raleigh-Durham to Bologna, Italy is where we chose to fly into. It was like $1,850 per person. And so luckily it came down to about $120 this week. So I got a little bit of a refund there, or e-credit, I should say. But it's nice to see, you know, a cruise line recognizing that, hey, people's biggest hang up in the States, why we're not going over to Europe right now for these wonderful cruises, it's because the airfare does not make it worth its while. Very similar situation if you're looking at going to Puerto Rico, for instance. I love going to San Juan to cruise out of there because the cruises are normally so cheap. The problem, you got to buy an airline ticket to San Juan. And even from South Florida, I'm looking at additional $300 to $700 to go down to Puerto Rico, which is not really that terribly far. So just always keep that in mind when you're planning. Just some tips of the trade is make sure you're looking into airfare or at a cruise line that's going to cover some of that for you. Lisa, the bar tab is going to be per cabin. You're going to get $300. If you are any kind of a member, I think they start matching it diamond to their sailors program, you'll actually get even more. So I get I forget what it is, like $100 maybe, that I get because I've cruised on them more than 2 times. It's really not even that high, but I status matched into their program. And so you get even more with their Sailors Club. So make sure that you're going through the status match. There's a video on that you can check out and get even more for it. So Lisa, this is going to work out really good for you if you don't drink that much, but your husband does. He can take full ownership of it. Keep in mind, if you were going over to Royal Caribbean and buying the drink package, they would force your hand and both of you would have to get the drink package. The only other alternative there is one of you would buy the drink package and the other one have to call in and say, oh, I need a medical accommodation. I don't drink. But they'd still force you to at least get the refreshment package, the non-alcoholic package. So this is probably going to wind up being much cheaper for you by getting the $300 that he can use. And you can go into it every now and again versus both of you having to get a drink package. Did I ever check out the 3-day celebrity ascent for November 26th? Do I have my spreadsheet open for my cruises? I do. November 23rd. I think that's Thanksgiving weekend, isn't it? I am not going to be on a ship. I'm on the Summit on November 9th, Silhouette on the 16th. I'm doing a lot more celebrity. So I've got 11 celebrity sailings booked right now, I think, maybe 13, because they're doing a lot more shorter sailings. They've got 4-nighters that leave on Thursday, come back in on Monday, and they're getting into the weekend cruise business. So I'm going over to celebrity a lot more to see what kind of booze crowd they bring in. It'd be very interesting to see what the culture is like on a weekend sailing on celebrity. But I am not on the Ascent, mainly because that's going to be Thanksgiving weekend, and I'm with my family for Thanksgiving. That's one of my blackout periods. As much as I pride myself on being on a cruise ship every single weekend, it's just about every single weekend because Thanksgiving I take off, and a few other days there I do as well. Yeah, so regarding gratuities there, Pamela, they actually get a sheet of paper, and I've seen this. One of the crew members sent it to me from the dining room on Royal Caribbean. They sent me a sheet of paper that shows exactly how many people paid, what the percentage of people were that paid, and how much that factors into their actual salary. So their amount that they make every cruise does change, and they get a sheet of paper, and I forget what it's called. They get a sheet of paper that walks them through exactly how much everybody tipped and what percentage it was. I haven't heard what the average percentage is on people that do tip through automatic gratuities, but I think that the one that I saw had it around 85%. So it's not everybody. People do actually back that out and choose not to do the automatic gratuities. Maybe they want to hand pay people, or maybe they just feel like they've already paid enough for the cruise already and don't want to. So that's how that works. The Explorer is a great ship. So I'm glad that we're going on it, but I kind of wish we were going a different one because this is the same ship that Mom and Dad went on with me to go up to Alaska. And so it's going to have a lot of memories there, I'm sure. Did not plan that. This cruise has been booked for a while, pre-Dad's passing, unfortunately. And then when he passed, I asked Mom to come with me. And then the niece decided to tag along. She actually got this as a present 2 years ago for Christmas and is finally taking me up on it. But I kind of wish that it was going to be a different ship. The Explorer is a great ship. I think the size of it is going to be a really good fit for Mom. She doesn't want to walk a lot these days. And so I think that it would be really nice, but it still comes with all the specialty restaurants. It comes with a great crew that's going to be there. And hopefully it's going to come with some really nice memories that we're going to be able to share there. I'm excited to see all these celebrity ships. So I've not done a lot of celebrity ships. I've done one for, 12 days down in South America. So I'm really excited to get on these. I've been looking at my 2024 schedule and deliberately trying to take different cruises. And so I'm even going up to Port Canaveral a few times next year, which always sounds like a great idea when I'm booking them, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I'll change it up. I'll go up to Port Canaveral. I'll rent a car. It'll be great. Then the time comes and I'm like, why am I driving to Port Canaveral when the ships are literally a $6 Uber ride away? So it'd be very interesting to see, what my thoughts are when I get there. But I'm trying to branch out a little bit and see more ships. My go-to ship next year is probably going to be the MSC Magnifica. At least I think I'm saying that right. I need to look it up because it's just doing weekend sailings. A lot of them are going to Key West instead of Nassau, which I love, and I love MSC. So I'm really excited for that one. And by the way, I'm booking it for like $300 to $500 a cruise, which is ridiculous. It's saving my airfare costs that I have to pay to get to Europe. I'm offsetting it by being able to do more MSC cruises. So that's probably going to be more of my home one, but I'm doing a lot more Celebrity as well, which I'm super excited for. The things that I am cautious on with Celebrity short sailings is, number one, Celebrity doesn't come to Miami. They're out of Fort Lauderdale. So they don't ever come to Miami, unfortunately, unless they have like a stopover or a port, I think. But so I've got to go to Fort Lauderdale, requires me taking an Uber, renting a car. And this is the biggest one for me. Their all aboard time, you all, is like 1:30 like on Friday. And I'm still trying to work a full-time job. Like I can clock out a little bit early sometimes or go to the ship and work remote. But if I'm going to the ship that terribly early, there's just too many situations where things can go bump in the night. And being on board at 1:30, 2 o'clock, I think it leaves at Port Everglades at 3:30. That is really early to be there. And so I'd have to wind up leaving my house at 11 o'clock to make sure I don't miss the ship. So if you're going on the Celebrity cruises, make sure you check their all aboard time out for their departure, because it's a lot earlier than some of the other ships. And I think that it actually gets in later. It doesn't come in very early. And so I'm going to be stuck in, traffic coming from Fort Lauderdale to Miami, which is a friend of no one. So things to think about there. This traditionally, Beth, is what I do. I'm one of those who I feel really guilty when I remove tips, and I've done it in the past. If I'm at specialty and tipping, I'll tip my stateroom attendant, but I feel bad doing that because I know that I'm jipping somebody behind the scenes. So I'll normally just leave it on and tip out a little bit more to people I really like. Lisa, let's make it happen. Port Canaveral is where you're going to be at. I think that that's great. So I think Celebrity is going to be this way. So Celebrity does have this reputation. Where I am really hesitant on this reputation, and it's just because I've seen way too many weekend cruises, is what is that reputation going to be for the weekend sailing? Because it does bring that party crowd, that group crowd. And I think that when people are looking at booking weekend sailings, they're looking at price and they're looking at, where it's sailing from. I think they're cruise line agnostic for the most part. They may look at it a little bit, but your options are pretty limited. I will also say that from when I was booking some of these, the weekend sailings on the Reflection is the one that I was doing, I'm just looking at this quickly, the same price as Freedom of the Seas or cheaper. So if you're looking at going on Celebrity, I mean, that is with my 150% discount, I think, on Freedom, which I don't get on the Reflection. So actually, for normal people that aren't at 340 Crown and Anchor points, the Reflection right now is cheaper coming out of Port Everglades. So if you want to book it, I think the price is right. It's a good price. And it's also coming with $100 of onboard credit right now. They're running a special. So it's cheaper than going on Royal Caribbean for a weekend sailing, and you get $100 of onboard credit. Like, it's a bit of a no-brainer on that one if you want to do that. The MSC Magnifica, though, is still $200 to $300 cheaper than that. So it's all up to what is that experience that you want. But I don't know that I can confidently say that a weekend sailing on Celebrity is going to be different than a Royal Caribbean. I think it's going to get the same exact party crowd. I don't see it being relaxed. I don't. Maybe it will be. I might like that a little bit better to have a break, but I just don't see that happening. I'm going to talk about this comment only because I've been practicing the name here. It is the Meraviglia. There we go. MSC in the names, like what happened to Oasis, Allure, easy names. The MSC Italian names throw me for a loop all the time. I do like MSC, and I like it because of the value that you get to it. Are you going to go there and get better food than Royal Caribbean? No. Better than Virgin? No. Better than Celebrity? No. Their food is not going to be better. It is probably going to be lower tier. Is it bad food? No. It's also not bad food. Is it as good as the other ones? No. It is okay food. You're going to be fine. The entertainment is what I think really surprised me on MSC. I enjoyed their entertainment a lot. It is more singers and dancers focused, But I was a big fan of their entertainment. I thought that it was a really good time. And for the value, especially if you're a solo cruiser out there, check out MSC anytime you're looking, if you're trying to be on a budget, it will be cheaper, I promise you. Even if you're a family of 5, it's going to wind up saving you probably thousands of dollars in that situation. Am I still getting it wrong? Magnifica. Magnifica. Okay, so keep holding me to that. I'm going to have to say that name a lot in the coming months and year. Magnifica. Thank you. Yep, everybody tips a wee little bit different on this one. Meraviglia. Why is the G silent? I don't understand that. Granted, I've never studied Italian. Meraviglia. How do I? Meraviglia. There we go. Meraviglia. I just have to think about it and say it what I know, not read it. If I read it, I think that's where I wind up getting myself into trouble. Thank you, Pamela. I'm trying my best over here. At the end of the day, I'm just a country kid from North Carolina trying to figure out how to say all these fancy names. I still remember. So I don't know if you all know this. You may have seen it in a Who is the Weekend Cruiser video. But I actually went up to Boston for 11 years directly out of college in North Carolina and growing up in North Carolina. And I remember meeting people up there with these crazy last names. I mean, I'm used to Smith, Jones, Adams, like very simplistic. And I moved up there and it's Italian, Polish, Russian. There's all sorts of names that I was interacting with. And it took me a while to learn some of my coworkers' last names because I'd look at it and just scratch my head on it. It was a lot. So weekend cruises don't happen in northern Florida. Unless by northern Florida, you mean Port Canaveral. That's probably the farthest north you're going to find. And the reason for that is a weekend sailing has to go to a foreign port. And to do that, the only closest island is going to be the Bahamas. If you did it from northern Florida, I'm not sure it would have enough time to get there, give you a decent experience. It'd be like that Anthem of the Seas thing I did, where it was only there for like 6 hours, and then you're back on the ship and you come back. So northern Florida doesn't have weekend cruises. The farthest northern, actually I'm forgetting one, is West Palm. Has the Margaritaville, the old Paradise Cruise Line that runs 2-night sailings. Though I was looking at its prices yesterday because I haven't been on a cruise in like a month, so I'm like breaking down looking. They got one this Tuesday that I could have got on for $300, which isn't bad. But when you think about it, you board at like 3 p.m. in the afternoon, you have the next day in Bimini, and then you come back the next morning, you're off the ship. It's nice for the turnaround. I kind of just wanted to check out the old ship and see what it was like. The weekends for her, though, this Friday, on the other hand, was $700 a pop for 2 people, that is, which is crazy for that ship for a 2-night sailing. But when the Freedom of the Seas is going for $1,200 for 3 nights, I guess they're not far off in that. All right, let's switch over into Q&A. Actually, I want to do Q&A with you all real quick. Something I've been struggling with, and I want to get your opinion. So if you're still listening in, I'll trust that you are some of the faithful watchers of the Weekend Cruiser. I love making long-form content on YouTube. Listen to me, on YouTube. But I also like TikTok. I've been making a few TikToks and seeing a little bit of success there, but I don't always know what to talk about in the shorts. And so YouTube does have a short section for content where I could post quick 1-minute, 2-minute videos. And I can also post those over to TikTok, but I don't know what to talk about. So when I see other people's TikToks, they're fancy. They've got videos and pictures and they're very dynamic and music. And I'm lazy. I'm not going to be able to put in all that time and effort. I have a job at a cruise addiction that I have to pay attention to. So I don't know that I can do that. These, what I would call a stand and deliver or talking head videos that I do a lot, they're my favorite to make because I feel like I can look at you all, get to know you some, and just have a conversation at the end of the day. So I'm trying to find a way on TikTok if I can do that as well. So do you want to hear or be interested in hearing stories? Maybe if I do little vlogs on, hey, here's how my day went, or tips and tricks. Let me know in the comments what you think might be interesting there, because I know that the format for those is a lot more entertainment. I think people come to the long form YouTube to have more of an educational experience, which is my favorite. I love talking and educating people on enjoying their first cruise, what they need to know. but I struggle with TikTok on what do I talk about on there, or the YouTube Shorts. And there's people that also talk about how YouTube Shorts changes their dynamic on their platform because you still get notified of them. So let me know if you want to see Shorts, if that's something you'd be interested in the comments section. I'd be really curious to hear you all's thoughts on that. You know, I could do really quick hits on the cabin types. I kind of stay in the same type of cabin types. I'm trying to do them a little bit different these days. So more to come on that. But I do enjoy making I call them the cabin tours because they're what I call a loss leader. They're very easy to make. They normally don't get that many views. But people that find that are normally looking at going on a cruise on one of the ships I've been on. And so they then find all this other amazing content. And quick shout out to cruisedeckplans.com. They actually go through and scrub the internet to find videos and pictures of decks. So it's kind of like Seat Guru. If you've ever heard of it for an airline, you want to see where the best seat is. It's kind of like that. But you can hover over the floor plan of the ship you're on, find a room, and you can see all the videos that exist there. And so I get a good bit of traction from that website. So if you're looking at booking or booking a cruise, picking out what room you want, check out cruisedeckplans.com to see what that room is going to look like. If it's Freedom of the Seas, you might even run into one of my room tours that I've done. Pam, unique places on the ship. I'll have to think about that. I certainly could probably come up with one or two for that. I think it's the entertainment part that scares me on this, Lisa. It's just, I don't know that I'm going to put in the amount of effort to make them good. I like talking. I like just sharing stories. So we'll see how that winds up playing out. Yeah, the shorts probably will be. I think I might do it like just quickly show me and how I enjoy it. Virgin's Cruise was a hot topic of the royal family this weekend because some of our other friends went on Virgin for the first time and they did not like their experience. One of the biggest issues they have, and I personally hadn't even noticed this, the beds were a little bit lower and they literally could not get out of bed. They had to bring in some extra, like another mattress to put it on top of it to elevate the bed on Virgin Voyages. So if you have a hard time getting out of chairs, all of their chairs, every single chair on Virgin Voyages for the most part is going to be on the lower side. So grab a pillow, make sure you have something to sit under you, and ask them to bring in another mattress for your bed so you don't have any issues there. Pamela, I am very glad to hear this. You know what? I've never done anything with the cruise deck plans before, but I can see in my analytics where I normally get 150, 200 views a month directly from Cruise Deck Plan. So I think that they are a fantastic website. And I don't even have to tell them I've got a video. They always just magically find my videos. It's great. Oh, the approach to the pier. These are really cool videos to watch. I will agree with that. I could figure out the time-lapse piece to it because I don't think that I could do the whole thing. But I definitely could do a time lapse of it coming in at some point. I just got to make sure I turn my camera on first thing in the morning for coming in early or I wake up. I think that's always the toughest part to that is making sure that I am awake. All right, so let's see. Let's go into what are your questions at this point? So that's the end of everything that I kind of thought I was going to talk about today. Amazing how I always get it around the 1 hour mark. But what are your questions? What do you want to talk about now? Any of you getting ready to go on a cruise, have something coming up? Always glad to help out and answer some questions. Keeps me on my toes. I'll ask a question in the meantime. How's the video quality been? I'm doing a different setup right now. As you can see, there's no crystal blocks behind me. That is in the other room. And I was back to me being lazy and being a little bit tired this weekend. I decided just to sit at my computer. So this is my workstation. I am sitting out here. You can see some of the stuff in the background. Sailpack backpack is sitting over here. So if you're going on a cruise, make sure you do check out Sailpack. I think I have them in the comments too. Great one-stop cruise shopping for whatever you need for the cruise. Great guys over there as well. They've been super great to work with, but that is an affiliate link. If you need anything like luggage tags, you want the really nice bag that's over here, phone cases, all that great stuff, they've got it for you. Let me take a look. Well, I've got the spreadsheet coming up. Where am I on the 25th? Let's see. Great, I say like I have the spreadsheet, like I ever close the spreadsheet. It is always open on my computer. I think that I am there on the 25th, and I am there on the 25th, Beth. So we'll have to make a plan to meet up and say hello. I am certainly going to be there on the 25th. Thank you. This is actually the apartment I moved into November of last year, I think. I am a huge fan of it. One of the main reasons I moved here is because I can walk over to this window. Unfortunately, I think the camera is attached. Otherwise, I'd walk you all over there. I can see the cruise ships from my window. Talk about a cruise addiction. I needed not only to be on them all the time, but I also wanted to be able to see them when I'm not on them. So that's where I am. I love it here. It is a really great apartment. And I personally just like Miami better than I did Fort Lauderdale. It fits me a little bit better. You will love Nova Scotia, though. So Liberty, she's not really an old ship. She's just an unrenovated ship. She's not going into dry dock until 2026 at this point. And she needed a tune-up like last year. So I'd say that the ship is going to be fine. It's still got the specialty restaurants. You're just going to notice that it looks dated, looks a little old. But Nova Scotia is a wonderful trip. I loved my fall foliage tour that I did. I don't remember what ship I did that on, though. But I had a great time. Liberty, still a really good size. It's part of the Freedom class that I like a lot, but you're going to have a good time. Yes, Lisa, Peggy's Cove is wonderful. You can get some great pictures from there. It is very, very beautiful. So I'm sure it's going to be a great time. All right, last call for questions, and then we might be closing out for the day. All right, looks like everybody's questions are coming to an end here. Let me again say thank you for coming and hanging out with me on a Sunday afternoon and evening. This is my favorite way to spend the day, so I really do enjoy that. One more question from Pamela. I am not going on Icon of the Seas. I have no desire to go on Icon of the Seas. It is too much ship for me. I like my smaller ships. It is too family focused, too kid focused, and the price of it, holy moly, like I'm not going to be able to afford that ship for at least the next 5 years unless something drastically changes. I would go on it as a check the box exercise if it did a weekend cruise, like I probably will be doing for the Utopia, but I have no desire to be on Icon. All right, everybody. So bidding adieu to everyone. If you're interested in that group cruise, again, make sure you're completing the link down below, the JotForm. The travel agent, Ron, will get up with you and go over what the options are. But I look forward to meeting you all. Thank you again for hanging out. This is Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser. Hope to see you on a Weekend Cruise soon.